depression, anxiety, all these disorders that are direct result to what we feel about our lives. Anything that is not fun in life, anything that is not happy in life, lays in those people who take things to heart like they should, take things to the soul, and let themselves fall into this spiritual hole where there's no ending. They say that a person can fall into depression that can almost take his or her life with very little effort. If it's from people who stop eating, to people who get so much anxiety and panic attacks that they get heart attacks, to people, of course, who take their own lives, and then people who, and I'm going to elaborate on that later, people who are taking controlled substance and or are alcoholic. A lot of people that the new age term for them is escaping reality. And unfortunately, there are many physical ways on this planet to make a person escape reality. And when a person's soul does not want to face with its destiny and when its journey, then it goes into an imaginary world and pretend nothing ever happens and run away to safety or to shelter with the use of alcohol and drugs. And these people don't even realize that they're addicted, but yet a part of their soul does, because they do want help. When somebody with an addiction, and I'm telling you that from somebody that have seen it in his life, not only on the soul level, but on the above surface, as I say, on the human level, in the day-to-day, the jobs that I've done in my life, the roles that I took part in other people's life. I was a martial arts instructor for many, many years. I've changed many lives. I don't talk about it in the spiritual level because this is not who I am now. This is who I was prior and who I have been still, but this is more who I was in the material. I was a correctional officer. I was a police officer. I was a soldier. I've seen it. I've seen people going through some of the worst thing you can ever imagine. And I've seen these people going at and passing these trials and tribulations and tests in flying colors. And in the other hand, I see other people where their troubles are not even near as severe, but yet they decide to escape reality. They decide to hurt themselves. They decide to hurt their loved ones by hurting themselves. And the list goes on and on and on and on. And we cannot allow our loved ones to fall into this almost impossible task to come up from the ashes and try to play life again. For some of you who have been through severe depression, you will know that once you fall hard and deep, it's very hard to get up without help. It's very, very hard to pull yourself up. And even if you manage to pull yourself up, you're most likely to be going down. It's just a matter of when. It's breaks in between. So I wanted to talk about this, and I wanted to tell people what to do to try to avoid that, and how they can live their life with the alternative. And I'll try to do it as fast as I can, because as I'm speaking to you, almost as if these bad energies that I'm about to talk about are trying to interrupt what I'm doing. First, it was me trying to get into this live broadcast unsuccessfully, and now me being in excruciating pain trying to relay a very important spiritual message. Okay, so let's start by saying that depression and anxiety are two separate things. They're washed up words for sadness or loss of interest in life or loss of interest in things in life or activities in life. And then there is also the part that represents fear, which is the anxiety. People who are anxious are usually scared. They're scared from what's coming up, from what's going on, from what could have been, from what happened. They're irritated. They're always on guard. That's the people with anxiety. And again, if you try to dig deep and see where it's coming from, you will see that it's rooted deep in a person's soul. See, we are who we are deep inside. Our whole character, everything that we know about us, everything that we would choose to do every day, everything about us is our soul. Our body is just a tool, just a clothing, which where we can express that soul with. When a person is depressed, that means their soul is depressed. What is a depressed soul? What is a soul that is isolated? How do we know what's going on with our soul? What if that person really have nothing to do with his or her depression, and it's almost like they feel like something is taken over them? I've talked and spoken to many people who have severed so much depression and anxiety that they didn't even, when they had their episodes, their manic attacks, they thought that as if somebody took over them and spoke for them and represented them against their will. And we need to know what that person's soul is going through in order to try to understand the situation and see what we're dealing with. And when you deal with depression, you have to be very, very, very gentle, because we are dealing with a soul that it's like a wounded animal, that it's overprotecting itself, that is afraid, that it's turned itself away from the light, and we need to bring it back. And this is usually what I do with people when I speak to them, when I offer my services. But back to what we need to do. We need to understand that these people, first of all, they need our help. When you see somebody who struggle, the last thing you want to tell them is to go help themselves. Many times you'll have either frustrated parents or family members or friends that are kind of giving up on that one person's behavior or bad choices, and they'll all of a sudden hit a moment of depression, a moment of a bad choice, and then we kind of let them be on their own and saying, well, go get some help, take care of yourself. No. If you want to indeed save that soul, you have to be close to that person. You have to be physically able to pull that person up, to walk with them, to help them, to assist them, to comfort them, to protect them, to enlighten them, to inspire them. And I can go all night with things you can do for a person to make them happy. Once you help that soul is in your hands. It's like you holding a wounded person. You're in the military somewhere and you're just carrying one of your comrades, your fellow soldiers out of the battlefield where they're wounded, and you are there to just pick them up and tell them it's going to be okay and you're going to take them to safety. Just like there is a war situation in the physical, there is a war situation in the spiritual. I'm not a medical doctor and I don't give medical advice. However, I can speak to the soul. My abilities, my knowledge, what I inherited from my accident, from my life-changing event, was no hocus pocus or miracles, was nothing really special besides wisdom, the knowledge, the motivation, the strength, and the will to just simply opens people's eyes to themselves. A lot of people try to help people in a conventional or just one common way of helping a person. What works on one person does not work on another. Just like in any other field in life, we are all different. If you never knew, there's a very important scientific fact that you don't have a person that have the same face, the same exact face, all over the universe, all these billions of people. Have you ever stopped to think about that? You couldn't find a person, even the most identical of twins, that can hold the same exact, facial features. It's amazing. What do you think when it comes to the soul? Everybody has a different solution to the same problem. It's not what works for one person on a spiritual, when you try to help somebody and pick somebody up. And these people who go through depression, they need us. If people end up being alcoholic and you know that they're just doing it to run away from reality, run away from the troubles, that's what their soul does. It's the easiest way out. This is when your soul throws out the towel and says, I quit. When people get to this stage, sometimes it might be too late and there won't be much to save. So you need to pick them up, even at the worst of moments. Don't think about, do you need to do it? Don't think about your ego. Your own soul will be like, mind your own business, soul. This is their business. No. It's our business to do something like that. Just like it's very important and very honorable to be able to save somebody from drowning in the ocean, or save somebody from choking and do a CPR on somebody else and know that we were able to save life. We just saved the physical life of that individual. However, when you save a soul, you save that soul eternally. Sometimes people are depressed, and I will tell you a secret. Sometimes people are depressed because of the spiritual war that goes around them. See, they're like in the eye of the storm, and that storm does not belong to them. However, the soul, for whatever reason, whatever choice it made, happened to position itself right there in the eye of that storm. What do? Sometimes that storm is your past life, traumatic events, physical events, or even present life. They translate themselves into hardships, depression, sadness, agony. I'm a member of a few groups like this Facebook page that deal with depression, and to see some of the posts that people write there. It earlier brought me almost into tears to see young teenagers screaming for help on social media, on Facebook, saying that if they don't get help, they'll do something for themselves. They feel they're lost. They're saying that, and you look at that and you say, poor souls. There's nobody there for them. Why do people, and I'll tell you another secret, why do people consume controlled substance? Why would people fall into drug abuse and alcohol abuse? And I'm talking about those who are addicted to begin with in order to escape reality. Why these people want to escape reality? What reality they want to escape? And if you're managed to escape reality, you must have had a different reality waiting for you somewhere. Isn't it? So if there's another reality waiting for you, what is that reality? So these people, without knowing, no matter what they believe in and how spiritual they are, with their actions, they're admitting that they have a soul and they can be in different consciousness. See, when these people as souls fall so low into that hole, I call it the suction hole of depression, and it's all spiritual. Depression cannot be seen, cannot be touched. It's a matter of the soul. And sometimes what translates here as depression, as anxiety, is in fact a spiritual battle going on between your soul trying to ascend and other forces trying to balance it. If you knew how much trouble I'm going through in my life right now on the physical level, you'd probably be surprised that I even do what I do, that I even help people on a daily basis, that I even do these videos and make these quotes. I'm not supposed to. A normal average person, after what I had done to me a month and a half ago with the surgery, would have been in bed all day doing nothing but maybe reading and watching TV. But the fact that I'm here, and excuse the background noises, I live in a city and this is what you hear here when you live in a city. But I'm doing all that stuff because I know what it's like. The spiritual battle is hitting me too. Every time you want to thrive, every time you want to ascend, every time you feel like you manage to reach the next level, as far as your soul, you will see the troubles will increase. Those troubles, those trials will increase to try to break you, to try to prevent you from going up and leveling up, try to intimidate you. So this is why we have to understand anything that comes to us comes from a reason. Don't just, a lot of people when they find something of value just in the street, or when luck hits them and they just winning something, and I don't know, something that was really dramatically good for their lives, they automatically go and it's like, well, that's the perfect timing, it was supposed to happen, we're so happy, this is what's meant to be, we've been praying about it all our lives, and everybody will really describe it as something that is was meant to be. But nobody will say that on the bad things. See, when we get bad things coming to us, we say, why does it happen to us? Why? What did we do? Why do we deserve that? If something good comes our way, it's like, how come we don't get enough of that? See, the will to receive is what gets us to sin. That will to receive, that selfish will to just have without nothing to give back. That's the main core, that's the main problem. So when people deal with depression, especially when they fall down that invisible hole with no bottom to it, and it's cold and lonely and dark to their soul, they don't want to fall. So they escape reality and they go to drugs. What do they call drugs? What do they call the effect of drugs nowadays? People want to get high. People take pills to get high. Why do they use this terminology, high? Why not low or sideways or I don't know why? Why high? Because they're trying to translate the feeling of a soul once that soul escapes reality. That soul wants to prevent falling into this hole of depression and anxiety and fears. There's a spiritual battle going on. When you run away to control substance, you get your soul to escape that realm, to go somewhere else. But that doesn't mean that this is what it's supposed to do. It doesn't mean that the troubles will go away. Once you get off that effect, you're going back to your troubles. And by doing so, by consuming too much alcohol, by abusing drugs, people don't realize that they also hurt their body and they're completely destroying their soul. So like I said, what to do with these people? Few things. First of all, when your loved one is depressed, when your kids, and again, I have to say that because nowadays, every time you can say a personal opinion and people will take it like, this is not a medical advice, this is solely a matter of the soul. Yeah, 1 second, I'll join you. There's something popped that you want to join me in a video. Just give me 1 second and I'll do that. What I'm saying is from a position of a parapsychologist, which is the psychology of the soul, not the mind, not the scientific stuff. But anyways, when one of your loved ones is depressed, the main thing you want to do is just like you think like somebody's drowning. The first thing you want to do is save them and get them above the water so they can breathe. right? That's what you want to do to somebody who you see drowning in real life. When the soul is depressed, when the soul is going through this path, and this path never leads up to ascension, only down. Only down. You're going to descend. No matter what, that's what I said, they fell into depression, they fell to drugs, they fell because you're falling. You're definitely not ascending. What do you do with somebody who's fall? You hold on, you stop, you break the fall. You stop the fall, and if you can't stop the fall, you at least break the fall. You spiritually cushion the fall. That way the fall is not that bad, so you can get them right up. Because when people get into depression, they do all kinds of stupid stuff. Crazy stuff that they're really not aware they're doing. They're fighting like their soul is in a destruction mode. So you have to first of all be there for them. Even if it's people that you feel like you don't want to waste your time because they never listen to you. Be there for them. Do what you're supposed to do, and let the angels and God do what they're supposed to do in return. But at least do what you're supposed to do and be there for them. When I have depressed friends, when my wife the same way, we will always check on them periodically. Be there for people. It makes their soul happy. It makes them feel they're not alone. And they're not alone. They're with you. After you do that, you have to make them somehow happy. Find anything that you know these people find happiness in and lost their interest, and reignite their interest. Reignite their interest. Try to make this depression as a slingshot effect. Like something is pulled all the way down to the hole, but then it was just for the purpose of rising above the occasion. Teach people courage. When you're not afraid of what's coming, you're not going to have anxiety. Anxiety is when the world gets you to freeze, pretty much. When the world gets you to be scared. This is what anxiety is. People are they freeze on the spot. They don't know what to do. The world is too much for them. Once you have the courage, once you know everything happens for a reason, once you know that the worst thing that can happen to you on the physical is that accidentally you will pass. So you'll get to where you're supposed to get to earlier than others. Other than that, when you live your life with no fear of anything physical, you completely grow in spirituality. This is one of the shortest paths to ascension, is to be courageous, to have no fear. Faith, full faith, and doesn't matter what faith you follow, is zero fear, zero doubt, and as a result, zero fear. Once you have zero fear, and the only fear you have is the fear to disappoint, is the fear to choose bad and wrong, no depression can ever get to you. And you're talking to somebody who's been in an underground world of depressions. If there was an underground world of depressions, I was on the bottom floor. But I climbed up. I realized even then, after so many unbelievable chain of events, that I just stopped and said, you know what, God? These are not just tests. These are not the coincidence. These are not just hardships. These are tests. Every time I pass a test, I'm stronger in faith instead of being lower in faith. Every time the bigger the trouble, the more I shine. And when I say shine, I mean spiritually. Once you look at all your troubles deep in the eye and say, you don't scare me anymore. It's not like a scene from a movie. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but once you really look at your troubles in the eyes and say, I'm not scared of you anymore. Whatever comes, I'll accept with love. And truly, even the bad things, that's the real key and test in faith. Don't just accept the good things with love. Accept the bad things.